optimist, and that means I always assume that good things will happen, and I always push to find that solution. So I also believe that every challenge is also an opportunity. So usually when there are roadblocks or obstacles or hoops to jump through or things go wrong, which happens all the time in the manufacturing world, I believe just in my heart and also from all my experience that you end up with a better result or a better end product or a better, picture just because you had to jump through those hoops. And I think a lot of people will stop jumping through the hoops or they'll give up along the way. And you have to believe and be optimistic that your goal, your dream, what you're pursuing is worth it and you can make it happen. I think that is kind of what makes me me, and I don't usually get my panties too much in a wad about anything because I know we can figure out how to work it through. I have a low tolerance for stupidity, but challenges along the way, we can come up with a solution. You have to be informed and you have to know what's going on in the economy and just our general political and economic environment. But if you focus too much on it, I think for me it takes away from the day-to-day of what we're doing. And there are lots of challenges we face today, but at the same time, once again, being the optimist, we're looking for the silver lining in all this. When I launched my company in 2004, no one cared that I made bags in the United States, and that was something that was imperative to me out the get-go. When I wrote my business plan, I wanted to create an American-made product because it was as much about creating bags for me as it was about creating an American company that creates American jobs. And, I remember the first trade show, people going, why do you make them here? If you could make them overseas, they'd be so much cheaper. And keep in mind, the most expensive bag in my line was $150. So it wasn't like I was doing a super expensive bag line. But it's now, since the economy has changed, people realize the importance of American made. And that has really boosted, my line significantly and has been kind of a feather in our cap that we are the largest and, bag line that's still produced here in the States and will always be produced here in the States. From touring the factory and meeting all the folks that have kept their jobs because we have kept Cinda being made in the United States, I wish I could take everyone through the factory so everyone could have the feeling. You realize the importance of American made because you meet the people who are able to feed their children or, put braces on their kids or, live a normal life because they're not worried about where, finding a job. I wish I had a bigger, more relevant way to wrap all that up, but it's heartwarming, it's touching, it's incredibly powerful to know that by my perseverance and keeping an American-made product and Bob's for sure, we're able to give all these people, a job and a livelihood and pride. They take such pride in their jobs, and they're sewing, bags all day long, which I would go crazy doing the same thing over and over again. I think if you love what you do and you're passionate about your job, you need to keep jumping through the hoops. You need to keep pushing. You need to keep pursuing. If you don't like what you're doing, then follow your dream. I had a dream, and I've been lucky enough that it's worked, and I've pushed through it, and it's terrifying. But I was in marketing before going back to get my business degree, and my husband and I then kind of started some other companies. But, my dream was to create an American-made product, and I didn't know what exactly that product would be, and I didn't know exactly how to do it, but that was my dream, and I took it one step at a time and one day at a time, and slowly but surely it all kind of came together. So I think if you love what you do, you got to push. If you don't, you got to step back and realize or figure out what it is that you really, really want to do, and then every day take a little baby step towards that goal. To me, the most important thing is to be kind, and killing them with kindness is always an approach that I've taken to get what I need to get done. And it makes you stand out. It makes people remember you. It makes people more willing and accepting of your ideas and your thoughts. And when you're upset about something, it makes them take you a little more seriously, because if you're usually pretty jovial and something you think is wrong or needs to be fixed, that's been kind of a guiding principle for me is to approach everyone and everything, be it the janitor to the CEO, with kindness, and that itself will set you apart from the majority of people. And it's amazing to me how many people don't either realize that or buy into it, and how much easier their lives would be if they did. I say that I met heroes along the way. I also met a lot of people, especially in this industry. It's fabric industry is a male-run industry, and a lot of it is up in New York, and they like to, what I call little lady me, which means talk down to me and act like I'm sewing bags in my basement. And I'm sure there are a lot of lovely small businesses I know there are women who are actually sewing bags in their house, but that was not what I was trying to accomplish. And one of my challenges was to portray my business plan in a manner that they took me seriously, serious in that I was thinking bigger. I was not just trying to sew bags in my basement. I wasn't, just doing this willy-nilly. I had a solid business plan, and I knew where I wanted to go. And I think that's really important when you start a business, is knowing, what is your goal, who is your target market, who are you selling to, how are you going to do it, figuring all those things out ahead of time. But then the people that I talked to, there were the challenges, the people who little ladied me, and then I would find every now and then I'd find a hero. So Bob Henty is definitely one of my heroes, or another word would be a champion, or someone who is willing to partner with you and teach you what they know. The guy that quilts my fabric was one of my very first heroes, and he was willing to give me information and help me along the way and educate me, because I'd never done this before, so I needed it. And if you can find those people, I couldn't have done any of this without those two particular people at all. And of course, having family and friend support. You never really realize how wonderful your friends are until you start a business, and not only do they buy, but they buy often, and they spread the word. And you can't do it without that initial network of love and support. Whenever I'm looking for anything, or was looking for components or any aspect of my business, if I called someone and was talking to them and they didn't have the solution for me, or weren't willing to help me in the manner that I needed, I never got off the phone unless I had them, or until I got them to give me some suggestions. So 9 times out of 10, they'd give me 2 or 3 names of people to call, and I would be able to call them and kind of work my way through the maze to find the right person and the right hero. And it just takes time and perseverance, but that's how I found the people that I have needed along the way to help me catapult this business. You've got to position yourself in a manner that people take you seriously. You've got to be persistent. You've got to not be afraid to ask a lot of questions along the way. And remember, this is one thing that really helped me out when I was talking to people about either manufacturing my bags or being a supplier for my company. I had to change my perspective. Originally, I thought they were doing me a favor. But in reality, I'm doing them a favor. I'm giving them business. And I don't know why my original, way of looking at things was that way, but I see my girls in the office do the same thing. And I try to coach them that when we approach suppliers, when we approach manufacturers, when we approach anyone, we're doing them a favor. Same with stores. We're providing them with an amazing product that's going to make them a lot of money. So, don't be cocky, don't be egotistical, but be confident.